But I'm proud of the preparation, the effort the guys have put in on a weekly basis, 7 days a week with the effort, and the preparation has been excellent. But the reality is right now the production certainly hasn't been what we expected, and it's not meeting our level of expectations, most importantly. Felt like we had seen consistent improvement going into the Illinois week, but unfortunately I think we took a step back that night over in Champaign. And the positive is we got an opportunity to come back to work this week. Guys have come in with an eye on the future, the eyes on the horizon, and really a renewed focus on improving. I think for us right now, very important that we're worried about improving and executing at all 11 spots. We all have ownership in this right now. Making the makeables, doing our job, just the simple basics. And then, I think we all understand and need to understand that we need to take advantage of the opportunities that are in front of us. We've got 6 football games remaining in the season. And the reality is we all need to do better. And the good news is we're committed to doing that moving forward here. So I'd like to open up to questions, and who wants to start?
Brian, I'll start.
Scott?
Yeah. I could recite, the stats and the rankings, but you probably already know them, and it doesn't really matter anyway. Is there a clear source of where the offensive issues start? Is it positional? Is it schematic? Is it you? Is it the play calling? Is it your father? I mean, is there one area that you think you're looking at saying this is where the root of all these issues?
I think unfortunately we don't have a root cause. I think we have to look at everything, right? And the reality is, as I just said, we all have ownership in it. But as simple as it sounds, the basics are the basics, right? And if you just think about offensive football, our job is to possess, advance, and score the football. And you have to start by possessing the football. So you look at turnovers to start, and certainly in the first 2 weeks, those were huge problems in the game, right? We turned the ball over 4 times in 2 games. Every single one of those turnovers either took points off the board for us or put points on the board for our opponents. Felt like we had addressed that, and I've seen marked improvement in that regard. The next thing you look at offensively is first down production, right? Are you staying on schedule? Are you staying ahead of the chains in those manageable situations? Are you being efficient on first down? And right now the reality is not consistently, which then leads to critical downs. Okay, so now you're going to need to stay on the field on 3rd down or 4th down, not doing that as well as we need to do and as consistently as we can. And then on top of it, right, that's going to limit your ability to move the ball down the field. Are you creating those red area possessions? And when you are you scoring touchdowns? Are you scoring points? That hasn't been consistent enough. And if you're not doing any of those things, then you better be banking on explosive plays. And at times that's gotten us out of trouble. We've hit some big plays that have gotten us out of bad situations, but that's not the kind of world you want to be living in on a consistent basis. So, I look at all 11 spots, I look at the coaching, I look at the scheme, I look at everything, and I say we got to do better in all regards. How do we put our players in better positions to be successful in those opportunities, right? How do we execute better when we have those opportunities, and how do we make the makeable plays at the end of the day?
You had 9 months to try to improve this offense after not so good numbers last year. Why do you think it's instead regressed for all the ways that you've just pointed out?
Sure. Well, the hard part is, like I just told Scott, right, it's very difficult to just pinpoint one issue because when we've been good in certain places, we haven't executed in other places. And the reality of offensive football is it takes 11 guys. It takes 11 guys, and there's more than that if you include the play caller, right? So we all have a hand in it. The clear explanation or clear issue, clear root, wish I could give you one. The reality is we've got a lot of issues that we're working to address right now. And it starts up front, okay, continues outside. Really the tight end position, feel like the production's been pretty good there. It's hard to point the finger at those guys. But there's plenty of examples, right, where we can block better. We can run routes better, we can catch the ball better, okay, we can run the football better at the running back position, or we can throw the ball better at the quarterback position. So it's a culmination of all 11 things that lead to some of those issues, and that's what we're working hard to address.
Brian, for you guys, it's always started up front. What do you see from your offensive line not getting the push that they normally would, and the issues with pass protection?
Sure. Well, pardon me.
It's okay.
I think the other night is a good example, right? So there's different kinds of games you can be in. We knew what kind of game it was going to be on Saturday night. Part of the reason I have a lot of respect for what they do there, they're going to play in an 8-man front, okay, regardless of what they're doing behind it. And what they're doing is they're going to line up and say, hey, listen, we're going to play one-on-one at every single spot across the board here. And if somebody wins, for us, we're going to be in good shape. If somebody loses, it's not going to be so good. So you look at the game a year ago, felt like we were able to run the ball pretty effectively against Illinois last year in Kinnick. We were winning some of those one-on-one battles. The other night, we knew that there were going to be man blocks, and at the end of the day, we just weren't able to win consistently enough to get anything going, right? So you think about push, and that's true to some extent, but at the end of the day, if you're not going to be able to win the one-on-one battles, it's going to be a problem. Same thing in pass protection the other night. The same issues that the front creates in the run game, it creates in pass protection, where you know it's going to be 5-on-5 for the majority of the night. Maybe not true against a 4-down front or some other teams, but the problem is, real simply, we've got some guys playing right now that simply haven't developed to the level that they probably need to be out there, whether it's injury issues, whether it's missed time, and it really doesn't matter. The reality is what we have to be doing right now is pushing those guys forward as quickly as we can, trying to get them the tools they need to be successful and get them out there. And I think I'd be remiss to say, in fairness to some of those players, I've seen improvement. I've seen marked improvement with some guys. I think a lot of guys are making strides. Didn't show up consistently enough the other night, but I'm excited to see how they continue to progress.
I wanted to ask about 3 plays from the other night. Do you
Sure.
want me to go one by one or just give them all now?
Let's go one by one.
Okay. The one where Arlen was in the backfield and it was a shovel pass to Sam.
Correct.
Is that the quarterback's read there, or is that always going to be a shovel?
It's a read play. So there is an option there to hand the ball off.
Okay.
We chose to shovel, and obviously it didn't end the way we wanted. We
Okay.
would have liked to score the touchdown. The good news, we maintained possession of the ball.
True. And then there was a pass to Gavin up the right sideline. Didn't look like he was looking for the ball. Was that supposed to go to him or Nico, who was underneath and wide open?
Can you
It was
give me
the-
the question one more time?
Yeah, it was like third. You were backed up. It was early.
Yeah, it was the
Third
first.
down,
It
yeah.
was the first third.
It looked like a wheel.
It was our second possession.
It was like a
third
wheel
down.
route up the side, and it looked like Gavin wasn't looking for it. And
Yeah.
Nico was wide open underneath. So I was
Okay.
curious, was that always supposed to go to Gavin, or was that?
It's a mesh play. Anytime we run a pass play, right? If we free release the back, which we did on that play, there's 5 guys in the route. There are 5 viable options in the route. Everyone is live. We're going to highlight or lowlight things based on the coverage we're getting. There are scenarios where that ball would go to Gavin. Certainly didn't feel like that was the scenario we wanted to go to Gavin. But the reality is we still had a play that was makeable, and we didn't make it.
Okay. And then the last one was just to delay a game in the end zone toward the end. Obviously, that turned into a punt, and they're winning points as a result. The play looked like it was in on time. What happened there that caused the delay game on your part?
The play was definitely in on time.
Yeah.
Okay, but what happened there was we were in the end zone, their band was there. There was a little bit more noise than I thought, maybe existed at the time. Looking back at it, I didn't probably give a good play call considering the amount of noise, because we had a shift on the play, right? We had a short motion with the back. It's actually the same play we had called earlier in the game. It was Gavin. Gavin was the back. You started to the field, motion into the boundary, and then we were snapping the ball with him on the move. I think the motion probably cost us the penalty, just getting that lined up. So I would take accountability for that and say, what I wish I would have done in retrospect, we can run the same play with him in the backfield without the short motion. That's what I should have done to put the players in a better position to be able to get that play off on
Okay.
time.
And then that caused a more conservative call, I guess, on 3rd and long than the delay. I mean, it was a handoff strip.
Yeah, I mean, here's the reality. We went from a position where I believe we were on like the 4.5, 5 yard line.
5, yeah.
Right, so felt like that was a play that we were gonna get the ball off on the plant, or at worst on the hitch. It was gonna come out pretty quick. And it has a good built-in hot in case they want to pressure it. From the 2, just really was very concerned that something bad could happen that would lose us the football game right there. So it definitely changes your mentality, there's no question.
How do you evaluate your